On today's show, fishing memories permanently protected thanks to the detailed work of this angler. Volunteers hope to hook kids on fishing. Better hope something bites.
Can't catch a fish.
And the place where old boats go to die. Well, at least until this guy gets a saw blade on him.
Minnesota Bound, presented by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems.
Hi everybody, Bill, Millie and I welcome you to Minnesota Bound.
Our first story today takes us to the workshop of a very special Minnesota angler.
Eric Frank, best known for bringing trophy fish back to life. Travis Frank has the story.
Eric Frank is an artist with a fishy reputation. In his garage-turned workshop, Eric's life revolves around bringing fish back to life.
Just for a long time, I've had a kind of a weird fascination with fish. The name of my business is Angler's Touch Fish Art and Taxidermy.
The name speaks for itself. Eric's a talented angler, blessed with artistic skills.
I want their fish to look like it just came out of the water.
And boy, do they ever.
Taxidermy, by definition, is the movement of skin.
Thing is, skin mounts are mostly a thing of the past.
I would rather do replicas.
And that's exactly what his customers want too.
The fish gets to live. Someone else gets to enjoy the catch of a lifetime too. And that fish gets to go spawn, produce its genetics in the lake, which is huge.
Instead of skinning trophy fish, he shapes molds that match their exact length and girth measurements.
Almost like a puzzle piece. It just snaps right into place. I just use super glue to attach it, and then it gets blended. The seams get blended in with an epoxy sculpt.
Now the tedious work begins.
This would be the paint booth. This is where most of the magic happens. A lot of it is a lot of patience. Take this to the sanding table. A lot of it just getting in the zone. I'll throw some color on this bad boy. This is the customer's actual fish. So we're basically gonna try to match all the markings and all of the color.
One scale after another, Eric turns a fiberglass mold into a real-life trophy fish.
Ever since a young age, I was always into drawing and art. So I kind of had a dream of being a wildlife artist. And it took me until my mid to late 30s to finally make it come into fruition.
Like many other inspiring artists, Eric's path to success took many winding turns.
Getting out of college, I couldn't find a job. I found a job at a print shop. I did that for probably about 10 years while I was doing automotive airbrush stuff on the side.
Eric painted hot rod cars, motorcycles, even airplanes.
This guy came to me and he wanted his Quest Kodiak airplane to look like a tiger. I was like, wow.
But his love for wildlife always brought him back to fish.
I'm loving it. This is what I want to do.
Eric's customers are grateful that he followed his dreams.
Wow, dude, that's insane. I mean, look at his work. It's unreal. There's very, very, very few people that can bring a fish to life like that. My goal is to have a happy customer every time. I want them to look at their fish and just get that wow factor, like what, that looks like it just came out of the water.
Oh, thanks, man.
Oh, thank you. It took me years and years, and finally it's starting to pay off.
Eric knows that dreams can take time to come true, just like waiting to catch that trophy of a lifetime. That's why every fish gets this one-of-a-kind artistic angler's touch.
Coming up, kids get a chance to try ice fishing thanks to these Minnesotans making a difference.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems, Rapala, Midwest Exteriors MN, and by Ice Castle Fish House and RV.
Cold weather could never freeze out excitement. On Big Marine Lake,
You guys ready for this warm, humid weather?
Yeah.
people pull in for a busy day of ice fishing. Just look for the banner.
Well, we're taking kids fishing.
Make sure that they get a pole, make sure they have something to sit on.
There are definitely a lot of moving parts. We have a lot of volunteers. We have a lot of people that are assisting to help make this happen. A lot of fun, a lot of excitement. I mean, we have the natural resources out here to get kids excited about ice fishing.
Let's get these kids excited, keep them coming back out.
We have the Minnesota Military Youth Ice Fishing Clinic.
This is a youth military event that's been going on for 5 or 6 years.
We want to help out our veterans. Give back.
Volunteer John Jordan understands.
My dad was career Navy, and he took me fishing once, he took me hunting once. He was awfully busy. My mom was left with us at home a lot of times. They're doing the best they can, they're sacrificing a lot for us, and I wanted to be able to give them that opportunity to get the kids out and enjoy the outdoors.
It's an amazing event. The turnout is incredible.
Well, we have about 150 kids that are registered to come out.
All these houses that you see behind, they all got 4 or 5 kids and adults in there fishing, and we're just out here waiting for someone to catch one so we can run it into the registration booth.
I've got a bite, but then it just. The fish are not that active on my side.
Honestly, it's just a lot of fun. There's a lot of kids and a lot of families all roaming around. For a lot of the kids, it's like their first time ice fishing.
This guy hopes to catch a big fish.
Bass.
I wonder why.
They fight well.
Good answer.
The biggest purpose is for them to have a good time and hopefully get them excited to keep coming out.
Jeremy Myers brought his kids.
They look forward to it each year, and so we come out here, and it's nice that they have all the equipment. So, I mean, to just sit in, grab a rod, and get experience fishing.
Can't catch a fish.
If you talk to the DNR, they'll say that the licensing for kids coming is dropping year by year, and so it's important for us to keep introducing this sport to the future generations.
And making it easy for families too. Just listen to Mom.
I saw it posted online and thought it was a good way for me to not have to make a hole and set up a tent and let somebody else do the work.
Today seems everyone lines up, not to register fish, but instead to grab a bite.
We're cooking hot dogs.
And fill hungry bellies.
But we're always excited to come out, and the food is really good too.
It's cool for somebody who doesn't have experience fishing, just to give them the opportunity, having the ice houses and then people who know what they're doing.
Now, if only the fish would bite.
No action yet.
At least one fish came out to play. Coming up next, we're off to Buffalo, Minnesota, where old boats get new life, thanks to this craftsman.
closed captioning provided by Star Bank.
Up next, we're headed out to Buffalo, Minnesota, where a bunch of old boats on blocks caught my attention. This story proves no boat is too old to save.
The scars, cracks, warps, all entries in time's diary of life on water. In old worn boats, some see doom. One collector sees beauty.
And this area is the main part of our nautical maritime antiques, if you want to call it that.
Lee Walden started collecting clocks as a kid. That passion led to all this. Minnesota's menagerie of all things maritime, many personally picked and shipped home by Lee and his wife.
We've had 78 semi-loads into our shop that we purchased in England.
I've always liked the nautical things.
Some of these are close to 100 years old.
Lee always liked woodwork too.
He started out making English pubs because we used to bring back a lot of pubs from England.
We've sold over the years probably about 40 of the English pubs.
But he dreamed of floating a new idea. To understand is to sneak outside to the yard where memories sit on blocks. The place old boats go to die. These old freshwater vessels that have seemingly sailed. But not on Lee's watch.
When you see them like this, you kind of go, okay, what's going to happen here?
It's fun. When it's in bad shape, it's not hard on my soul. My soul says, save whatever you can.
Waiting for the boards to fall out from underneath.
In each cut, Lee sees a new vision.
Okay, side number 2.
For the old Eye of Orion. He and his buddy Chuck chop it in 2.
I hope they can do it without it falling.
A couple of pry bars in here.
So far, so good, and at least Chuck is the one holding it, not me.
So it's beyond restoration, but we save it from going into the junk pile. Next step is getting a person in here to move it.
Lee's got that covered too. The neighbor Tom helps get the stern from backyard to the shop.
We're clear. Good.
It is in here that Lee's old boats come back to life. Simple designs whipped up in his mind.
I begin the salvage, I get an idea in my mind how to set them up, how it's going to be formed into a bar, and really don't have anything except a pencil drawing that I do for myself to bring about an idea.
Transformation happens in just weeks.
Probably close to 100 hours. This is a transom from approximately 1956 Larson.
Lee builds bars and desks out of these old boats.
Sign if you don't understand it. 1 too many represents 1 too many.
This is the front of the Larson boat. This one is really, came out nice.
The bar that you see here, this is the starboard side of a 1966 Johnson Boat Works sailboat. This is a transom or the tail end of that same sailboat, the same Johnson sailboat.
The transom off the Eye of Orion eventually gets a new look too. This time, ready for life in dry dock as a dry bar. Old boats once dead in the water, now so alive, thanks to Lee. Straight ahead, we take a winter walk in a very special state park. Can you name it?
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Hewitt Docks, Lifts, and Pontoon Lakes, Leech Lake Area Tourism, and by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Up next, it's time to take a walk in the park.
This time up along the St. Louis River.
The park is just under 9,000 acres or 14 square miles. So it's pretty large, 55 miles of hiking trails or skiing, whatever you want to be doing. I'm Christine Hiller, and I'm the park naturalist for J. Cooke State Park. Well, I love J. Cooke any day of the year, frankly, but in the wintertime, a lot quieter in our state parks. Here at the park, we have people that want to come hiking, snowshoeing, mountain biking, or cross-country skiing. Some people just come in and sit by the fireplace. You know, there's a lot of different things to do to just make winter go a little bit faster, so to speak, when you're doing something in it. I'm a snowshoer, so I like snowshoeing or walking. You know, what I like is in the summertime, you know, you stay on the trail and the woods kind of looks a little bit scary. You know, like, well, I don't want to go wander off there because what if I get lost? Well, when you're on snowshoes, you make your own trail, so you can go off into the woods, you can follow those animal tracks, you know, go off and explore and know that you're coming back to some place, because if you get turned around, you can always just follow your tracks back, right? We're down at our famous swinging bridge. This is swinging bridge number 5. We've had a couple of floods that have damaged it. The last one was in 2012, and so they rebuilt it, put it back together, and we got the bridge we have today. Everybody comes to stop at the swinging bridge, and they don't necessarily realize there's other places in the park to stop. So 1 more mile down the road from the swinging bridge is our other picnic area, which we call Oldenburg Point. And there's 2 nice overlooks there where you see the panoramic views of the river valley. Here at the bridge, you see that up-close river view. But there you can get the wide expanse of all 9,000 acres. So it's a nice view, different perspective. We're a very busy park, and we have about 400,000 visitors a year, and a lot of them do come during the summer and the fall time. So if you're trying to get away from the crowds, it's still beautiful to visit, but it's a lot quieter. You know, you can actually hear the river as it's flowing underneath the ice, and you're hearing the chickadees call. It's not a bunch of people, you know, shouting and driving by and all that. So if you're trying to experience more of the quiet of nature, wintertime is a great time to visit.
Do you have a favorite winter state park?
Well, if you do, we'd like to hear about it. Who knows? Maybe we'll even highlight it for an upcoming episode.
Well, that about does it for us. We'll see you back here next week.
In the meantime, like we always say, Millie, don't forget to introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.